I'm curious. Are you an ID-10-T Scrum Master? Some of y'all don't know what I mean. If you don't, come a little closer. See, back when I grew up in software development, people would call things an ID-10-T error. You still don't know what it means. Well, let me show you. We'd have a person grab a blank sheet of paper, and then we'd have them write the letters ID, the numbers 1, 0, and then the letter T. Well, if they didn't get it then we knew that there was a problem. Look. Let's jump in and talk about it. Hit that footage. Hey y'all, welcome to another one of our shows. The first thing I'm going to say to you here is the term idiot Scrum Master is a whole problem, right? It is really a pejorative term that is really not constructive and it's not professional at all. So we should not be using that term. Now, I will say I have heard this term many times in the early years of me doing Scrum. I wouldn't put up with that term at this point in time for anyone because the term is really just an expression of people's frustrations and misunderstandings that they may have about the person. Sometimes I've seen that as being a cultural issue. Other times I just seen it as being a pure dislike of something that happened. But the idea is the term idiot Scrum Master is really a label that we should not be using, and what we should be doing is exploring the underlying sentiments that are associated with that, right? And so if I take a step back, what are some of those underlying issues? Probably the number one thing on the list will be communication. Communication. Normally when it's that cultural thing, or it is somebody doesn't like somebody or the Scrum Master for whatever reason, it boils down to communication. However, there's also times when it's poor communication on the Scrum Master's part. Now, when I say poor communication on the Scrum Master's part, it just really means that they're failing to communicate in a clear way. The primary problem that I see with those Scrum Masters is that they don't actively listen. So it's hard as a member of the team to continue to talk to somebody who's not listening to you. Like, it's super frustrating because when you don't feel heard, it turns into you not feeling valued, or it turns into you like really ready to attack somebody, right? And so probably the number one issue I see when somebody gets that term, idiot Scrum Master, is it has to do with communication. Now, another reason why I've seen the idiot Scrum Master term is because of a lack of knowledge, right? There are Scrum Masters that just have not been trained appropriately, period, right? There are Scrum Masters who just don't quite get it. They probably shouldn't be doing Scrum whatsoever. But they got this title, they got this job, this is what they're doing. So, want to say what it's out of market, whatever. Anyway, the point I'm making is, it's one of those things where classically, this is a Scrum Master that when they have that lack of knowledge, they are ill-informed they're ill-informed and they take actions that do not help anybody moving forward. And it definitely doesn't help the Scrum Master, right? Build anything with the team, right? The last thing I would say is they probably have a misalignment with the Scrum values. The biggest misaligned Scrum value normally that I see is courage. It's courage. Now you know the Scrum values: focus, openness, respect, commitment, and courage, right? We love to say extreme courage just to say force, right? But the idea is that it's the courage one, and then the other one is respect. So between courage and respect, those are two misalignments that when I see those, people just have all kinds of problems, right? A lot of people expect the Scrum Master to be somebody who's gonna stick their neck out for the team. A lot of people expect the Scrum Master to build respect, to be respectful of many people that exist around them. When they don't see that stuff, there's definitely a misalignment with the Scrum values. Now, let's take that and take it a little bit further, because what you should be focusing on probably are the implications or the things that you see going wrong in terms of actions that you can actually help, right? And one of the things that you'll see is, at least within Scrum, sprints, every element of sprints being ineffective. So if you think about a sprint is one of the 5 events. So you got the sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective. When you see all these things going wrong, there's something wrong. And normally that's a lack of effective leadership. Now, you want to call the Scrum Master a true leader. Old schoolers might call him a servant leader. But there's normally a lack of focus in the sprint. The sprint goal won't be something that really truly can be met. Or there's a lack of focus around that sprint goal. You'll have sprint backlog items that will be incomplete. Other deliverables that are being, kind of committed to that will be incomplete. So you'll feel like it's almost like we're doing work for no reason. And that right there is frustrating for everybody. And what is that going to do for your team? The second thing, it's going to crush the team morale. I mean, it's going to crush it. It's going to crush it, right? And do you really want to crush a team's morale? I mean, people are motivated by purpose, autonomy, and mastery once you take money off the table. And so you're really taking an environment that should support their ability to be high performers, and you're not fostering one that's going to give them the foundation that they need, okay? That right there is going to impact their motivation. That right there is going to impact their morale. I mean, you can't get around it, right? Most people, they want to do a good job, at the job. And when they're not doing a good job, it just don't feel good. You understand? And so you're going to have a huge impact on team morale. Now, the other thing that you'll see is a lot of times how we move up in the organization is tied to the work that we do. So you're going to see that if this continues, people are going to miss out on significant growth opportunities, even the small growth opportunities, right? Because it's just not helpful for the team. It's also not helpful for the Scrum Master either. So you're going to run into that kind of situation, which is not, we definitely don't want to see that. Now, the road to the promised land, right? Is all about transformation at this point, right? The first thing you should be thinking about is, how do we open up feedback channels, right? We got a lot of negative stuff happening here, right? So we want to ensure that there's an open channel for constructive feedback. An open channel for constructive feedback, right? And again, I say constructive for a reason, because all feedback's not constructive. So we want an open channel for constructive feedback. This is where you may have an all hands retrospective. Get everybody in. Let's talk about some things. Let's be honest. Let's come out with some things that we can constructively do to move forward. Now, if it's with the Scrum Master being a problem, we're gonna also say we want to give a Scrum Master some opportunities to be trained, some opportunities to learn, opportunities to improve their skill set. That could be some online courses, that could be some seminars, that can be some conferences, various types of training could very well help, right? So you want to give them the opportunity to grow. You want to give them the opportunity to improve this situation. Now, if you have people who know what they're doing, people who are seasoned in the organization, what would be great is if you can pair the Scrum Master up with somebody that's seasoned, that knows what they're doing. Mentorship is about succession planning. And if you have somebody seasoned working with them, they can give them the guidance, the advice, provides insights, and then also give them constructive feedback on things that they can do that the team doesn't see all the time, right? Also, the flip side of that is maybe they can go and have some coaching, right? Because coaching would actually help them to increase their self-awareness, take time to do some self-reflection, learn how to self-manage, right? Because this would let them identify what their strengths and weaknesses are. Then we can utilize coasting to boost up those strengths, right? And find ways to kind of work through those weaknesses, right? That's kind of what we want to do. And then, I think what's really important in this situation, especially if that Scrum Master is going to continue to work with that team, is to do some team building activities. Maybe the Scrum Master isn't the one to lead them off in the beginning. A more senior person does that. But there has to be a way that person transition into doing some team building activities so they can build that trust with the team. It's one of those things where you want to give them an opportunity to win. And in giving them an opportunity to win, team building activities can help them in many, many ways. And then in leading them will also be very helpful because it's going to improve the communication, which I said was the number one thing that I've seen, right? And help the team, the Scrum Master, to understand each other and build that kind of bond that they need to build to be effective. I'll end it at that, right? Because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is we need to have some empathy to this situation, right? Idiot Scrum Master is a label. It is dismissing the problem. And we want to find opportunities for people to grow and make things better. We want to give our team supportive environments so they can do great things. And the Scrum Master facilitates that. So give that foundation to the Scrum Master. And trust me, if you get that foundation to the Scrum Master, I think you'll build a Scrum Master that's going to be ever loyal and be on a continuous journey of growth, learning, and making things better. Do those things and stay away from those labels. Have a good one.